Hello and welcome to Bashing the Bishops history podcast, where we learn about the Bishops of Durham. I'm Dan and I will be your host, but I don't really know anything about bishops to speak of, so I've brought along someone who has a master's degree in history from the University of Durham, in fact, and has also spent many years working at various historical sites in the county. It's Chris.
Hello, happy to be here.
Yes, as we said, I'm Dan.
And I'm Chris.
What are we talking about this week, Chris?
Well, can't really do much about history of Durham without going back to some basics. So I'll be looking about how Durham came to exist in the first place. We'll have various Vikings, sundry Saxons, and a bunch of bishops who all made it possible. So we'll start off with Lindisfarne.
Where's Lindisfarne?
You know where Durham is?
I do.
So that's up in the northeast, where we are now.
Mm-hmm.
Keep going further northeast, and you hit the sea. Keep going, and then you hit an island.
Have you ever been?
Yes.
Oh, I've never been. I think my grandma's been.
Obviously, you got the causeway as well, so you got to time it.
You've got to go when the tide's in or out or something.
When the tide's in.
Yeah.
Then you can't get a car on.
Oh, that's right.
So it depends if your car can float. A lot of people test it to see if their car can float. It can never float.
Can your car float?
No.
Okay.
We would drown.
Oh, I'll keep that in mind.
The Vikings, they're sailing across in the opposite direction. Or from the opposite direction.
Right.
So they sail all the way across. And if you're going to rob a load of people, monks are one of the best people to do.
Why's that?
Because they can't fight back.
Oh, they're not allowed?
No. And they've got lots of shiny things. And they're not allowed to have weapons. So it's pretty much ideal Viking target, really.
Christians are weird, aren't they?
Well, the Vikings certainly thought so.
But I mean, this is a bit of a tangent. But other religions have, like, weapons for religious purposes.
Well, I mean, you do later on with the Christians. That's how you get the Crusades. But monks... The whole idea was they were out of worldly concerns.
They weren't into it.
So other Christians wouldn't be attacking them.
No.
And so they didn't really have much to worry about.
Yeah, fair.
This wasn't the first time the Vikings had come across, but it's the first major one we know about.
Okay.
So we know they'd attacked a couple of villages and other places and so on.
But they're attacking Lindisfarne today.
Yes.
With us. We're watching.
Because the thing about monks is they like writing. And so they write a lot of things and then that gets passed down.
Oh, I see.
So that's the secret. If you want to know about someone who's bullying you and stealing your stuff, you need to write it down a lot.
Okay.
With fancy writing, some gilt bits, anything like that, and get it passed down.
This is what you always tell me if it's like I'm being picked on.
Exactly. Write it in big fancy lettering with gold letters.
Yeah, and that will sort it out.
And then it'll sort it out eventually. In 1,000 years, people are going, that was terrible.
Oh, right.
How dare they?
Yeah, not everything.
So this is the first properly recorded raid.
Okay.
And according to the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle, which was a chronicle which was updated by monks.
It's a newspaper.
It's not far off, to be fair. The monks would write down all the major happenings in their environment, and then they'd pass it on to other monasteries and they'd copy it out.
It's not like a newspaper that's like circulated to shops.
No.
It's kind of like the monks are chronicling.
Yes, because everyone else is illiterate.
It makes it sound like a history journal. You know, like the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle. I think that I would find that in a library written by modern historians.
Well, to be fair, you would now.
Well, yeah.
So the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle said that this Viking raid was special because you had sheets of lightning beforehand, whirlwinds, fiery dragons in the sky, massive famine.
Oh, I see.
So they knew something was going to happen because of these fiery dragons in the sky. And then along comes the Vikings.
It is quite ominous, to be fair, when there are dragons in the sky.
They probably should have got some guards, to be fair.
I don't know what you can do against dragons, though.
Well, yeah, but they knew something was being prophesied.
Oh, I see.
To get some guards. So basically they were lax. It's their own fault they got raided. Is the hot take you get here on Bashing the Bishops. Lindisfarne, main pilgrimage centre for the north. In fact, for the whole of England.
And it is still now because my grandma goes there. But why?
Cuthbert.
Who is Cuthbert?
So St Cuthbert, he was...
I have heard of him.
You have? So, all right, what do you know St Cuthbert then?
Well, I just know that, like, every primary school ever in the northeast is named after St Cuthbert. I once had a bear named Cuthbert.
What happened to him?
I don't know.
So he didn't become a site of holy pilgrimage later on?
No, he was just...
Yeah, Cuthbert's a very common name in the northeast, very popular. Not so much nowadays, but certainly, you know, even up until the early 20th century.
Oh, really? Like people?
People have loved it so much they call their daughters Cuthbertina.
Cuthbertina. I feel like those people like St Cuthbert more than they like their daughters.
It's very eloquently put.
And like I say, everything around here is called Cuthbert. It's a Cuthbert's sandwich shop. There's probably one of those.
Oh, yeah. Cuthbert, He's the son of an aristocrat,
Mm-hmm.
probably a younger son. That's why he's gone into the church. But he's still very much from the aristocratic background.
Mm-hmm.
But he decides that he wants to take the religion to the people. So he trekked around the whole of the north, Scotland, because originally he was born in what is now Scotland.
Mm-hmm.
Because at that point, the Kingdom of Northumbria, which was English, ruled that area.
All of Scotland.
Not all of Scotland,
A bit
but
of
the bit that Cuthbert was from. So he was parading around the whole of the north, in southern Scotland, the northeast, northwest,
which is preaching,
preaching, talking to
evangelising.
people. Exactly.
He's a bit like Billy Graham.
He probably wouldn't appreciate the comparison. I don't know if either of them would. But yeah, he certainly did it. So he would have been a well-known figure.
He's a celebrity pastor,
Yes.
like someone from a mega church.
Yes. I suppose because mega church, they want to try and reach as many people as possible, but
Yeah.
mainly to steal their money. Apologies for any mega church pastors listening. He became very famous
He's spreading
because
the
he
good
was
word.
everywhere.
Okay.
Yeah. And because he was so famous, he ended up becoming a saint, because that's generally what happened in those days.
So do you mean to tell me that they literally made him a saint because he was charismatic?
Partly because he was well known.
Yeah, but he would be
I mean, this
He'd
is a
be-
very cynical reading of why they made him a saint.
really good at preaching.
Yeah, because he was well known, he was famous. Everyone had heard a story about him coming to their local town. So eventually he got fed up of the celebrity lifestyle, as some celebrities do, and so he moved to an island to be a hermit.
I think I would like to retire to an island to be a hermit.
I think it would be your best life. I'm
Yeah.
amazed you haven't already.
I don't know how to do it.
You would have to have Cuthbert money.
Yeah, I think so. Because, I mean, does he own the island?
No, but no one's going to take it off him.
Okay, fair. So I'm going to call him Cuthbert the Retiree.
Yeah, fine. Yeah.
Cuthbert the Retiree.
Cuthbert the Retiree. So he goes to this island. The problem is he's a celebrity. And the problem with a lot of celebrity fans, as we know from, the fans we're going to get from this podcast, they don't respect your privacy. So they just sailed across to his little island and they besieged the little cottage he'd got that he was trying to be hermiting in.
We've got groupies, basically.
Massive Cuthbert groupies.
And paparazzi.
Yeah.
This is a terrible...
Oh, he did not enjoy it. Eventually, he stopped just leaving his little hut and he'd bless people through the window, but they still kept coming. So then he moved to an even more remote island and begged people not to follow him.
I bet they did, though.
Well, yes. He went to Innerfarn, which is right near Lindisfarne.
Okay.
So while he's sitting on this remote island, his fans decide to elect him as Bishop of Hexham.
Can you do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
He didn't put himself forward. They just said, "No, you're sitting on your island, you're Bishop of Hexham now."
It's not even in Hexham.
No.
I don't like Hexham, right? It's hours and hours, inland. It's not near the coast.
No. And especially for that time period.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a trek, so he'd have a hell of a commute.
Uh-huh.
He agreed to swap because he didn't want the job, but, it's a bit rude to say, "You've elected me, sod off, I'm not taking it." So the Bishop of Lindisfarne agreed to swap with him.
Oh, that's
So-
convenient.
Exactly, a bit of a job swap.
Yeah. Because he likes islands.
Exactly.
Oh, Cuthbert. Okay.
So the Bishop of Lindisfarne became the Bishop of Hexham, and Cuthbert became the Bishop of Lindisfarne.
That's very kind of the Bishop of Hexham.
But then it also really does help big up Lindisfarne, because you've now got a massive celebrity as your bishop.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, he died a couple of years later.
Oh.
Didn't enjoy it for too long.
It's a shame.
But he gave express instructions for them to just bury his body immediately on Innerfarn, leave him alone, don't make any cult or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Very low-key,
Understated.
humble. Exactly.
He's sort of reluctant, Cuthbert.
Yeah,
Reluctant Cuthbert.
yes. So the monks dug him up, put him on display, and made a cult out of him.
That's not very respectful.
They thought that was the best way to honor. It's what he would have wanted, even though he expressly said that isn't what he wanted. He's just being humble.
Yeah. I don't agree with the actions of these monks,
No,
Gotta
it did make
say.
them a lot of money, though.
Well,
So they dug him up, put him on display, and they found out when they dug him up, his body hadn't decayed.
it hadn't decayed.
No, it's a recognised phenomenon. There are some scientific explanations.
How scientifically could it not have decayed?
I don't know. I'm not a scientist.
Okay.
I'd have to go away and look that up.
Really?
But the information is out there, listeners.
I'm just quite sus of it.
You're sus of what? Cuthbert being preserved?
Yeah.
Oh, people have been sus about this for centuries. He's been dug up on several occasions, even in the 19th century, because people were sus about how well preserved he was.
But nobody's mummified him. Nobody's done anything. But maybe they mummified him on the sly.
There'd be evidence of that.
It's just cover him in salt. That'll do it.
Again, you'd see the salt or the effect of the salt, and you'd be all shriveled.
No, they do shrivel, don't they?
Yeah,
But no.
there's some theories it's the bacterial makeup of the skin.
He just had the perfect microbiome.
It's just, it's often the soil you're buried in, and you'll pick up some the microbiome of the soil, and it can help preserve.
I mean, if there was no microbiome at all, he would be preserved.
Yeah, exactly. So the correct microbiome may well help preserve people. So the monks, they're sitting there with Cuthbert's body.
Just chilling with the dead
chilling.
body.
Just chilling
Yeah.
with Cuthbert's body.
On Lindisfarne.
Yeah, because he's such a celebrity. As far as we know, they didn't dress him up or anything like that.
Good, because I'm already disapprove of their actions.
Yeah, they keep him in the coffin and take the lid off sometimes.
Just have a look.
The coffin still exists.
Oh, really?
Beautifully carved thing. It's in Durham Cathedral. I used to have to stand guard over it for hours at a time
I think
when I worked at the cathedral. What, that it's in the cathedral?
Yeah.
Or that he's dead?
No, we know he's dead,
Okay.
but that it's in the cathedral, because we're going to get to that, aren't we?
Yeah, the monks, they love Lindisfarne so much. They keep being attacked and killed and stolen from by the Vikings.
Or they just stay.
They just hang around
Choice.
for another 80 years or so.
80 years.
They just hung around on Lindisfarne.
How long do you think they'd live on average?
Well, monks would have lived a decent amount of time
Okay.
because they're not doing particularly strenuous work. They usually don't get murdered by people.
Do they have plenty of fruits and vegetables on Lindisfarne?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, I mean, they can grow it on Lindisfarne,
Mm.
and what they can't get will be shipped over and brought by pilgrims.
But still, 80 years, like one of them has a full lifespan.
Yes, lots of them will have died.
Getting attacked by
Yeah.
Vikings.
None of the survivors of the original attack would have been alive when they
They're
left.
just sticking it out.
Yeah.
Maybe they have to wait for like this one crotchety old monk who's like, no, I was here when they started invading.
Every morning,
we
the
will
abbot
not.
goes in. Come on, Ethelric, please.
We want to leave.
Surely today. No.
And Lindisfarne's kind of an easy target for...
Well, they know where it is.
Yeah.
They've been so many times, they just stick it in on their sat-nav and it just auto-directs them there by this point.
Yeah. Viking sat-navs.
Yeah, and they pop in, see how Ethelric's doing.
Mm-hmm.
You're right there, Ethelric. Don't know why that's Welsh. So eventually, the monks decide, enough is enough. We've had 70 years of this.
I think it's
70,
because
80 years.
that crotchety old monk.
Crotchety old man's dead, Ethelric's dead. They decide to leave in the mid-870s.
The mid-870s.
Mhm.
Okay.
So original attack 793, so around
Yeah.
about 875-ish. They decide, that's it, we're done.
They're finally going.
So they load up all their stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They've got Cuthbert's body, and then they've also got the head of St Oswald.
Who's St Oswald?
Oswald. So you may have noticed there's lots of pictures of Cuthbert, and he's always holding the head of a king under his arm.
Honestly, I have not noticed that.
Then be more observant.
Okay.
That's how you can show off whenever you're taking, your classic, your friends up from down south. Say you go, let's go and look round a church. And then you go and look at some stained glass windows. Just your classic day out.
Of course.
So you can show off now, because whenever you see a saint anywhere in the world holding the head of a king, going to be Cuthbert.
Anywhere in the world.
Anywhere in the world.
Okay.
It's what they're both famous for.
Having a head.
Yes,
And Cuthbert is famous for holding it.
for holding that head.
Interesting.
Yes. So Oswald tried a solo career to start off with.
Okay, but then it didn't work
really
out.
take
Yeah.
off. It only
like,
really clicked when
I'll
Cuthbert
just
came
be
along.
a head that
Yeah.
Cuthbert's carrying. Yeah,
Mhm.
fair enough. So they've got Cuthbert's whole body and they've
Yeah.
only got Oswald's head.
Yes. So Oswald, he was king of Northumbria.
Right.
So that's basically, as the name suggests, everything north of the Humber
That
is
does
where the name
suggest
comes
that.
from.
Mhm.
And, borders change. But
Mhm.
so he's one of the major first Christian kings of Northumbria.
Oh, I see. What are they before that? Like
Pagan.
pagan, but pagan means different things
It
depending
does.
on where you are.
So nowadays there are just hundreds of different pagan.
Like I think that
Religions.
pagan kind of just means not the dominant religion.
Yeah, to some extent. Not so much nowadays, but
Well, no, nowadays it might mean like Wiccan, for example.
yes, they are usually classed under that.
Yeah. But we're talking about the paganism that's kind of like the Viking religion, is that right?
It's very similar.
As though we've got like Woden.
Yes,
rather than
Woden
Odin.
instead of Odin, but you still got Thor
Yeah.
and Frey and so on.
Mhm.
So the stories are quite similar. Yeah, a lot of the Anglo-Saxons in Oswald's time are still pagan.
Mm-hmm.
And down in Mercia, which is where I'm from, West Midlands,
Oh,
Mercian respect, we had a king, Penda.
Penda.
Don't be insulting Penda. He was fantastic. So he was the king of the Mercians, but he was a dirty pagan, as were pretty much all of Mercia.
Penda the pagan.
Penda the pagan. Don't worry, he's unlikely to come up again.
Oh.
So Oswald, he's a Christian, and
Mhm.
so certainly in this period, a good way to show that you're a good Christian is to go and kill lots of people, as long as they're not Christian.
Oh, I see.
So then you're fine.
So they can't attack other Christians.
No, you shouldn't attack other Christians.
And
Hence
that's-
why the monks are fine.
I see.
But pagans, fair game.
Mm-hmm.
So he leads an army down to the Midlands to go and kill some pagans, have a little trip.
This doesn't seem very Christian.
It's a day out though, isn't it? Get the lads together.
Yeah.
do
A bit
a bit of pillaging, bit of killing of pagans. Penda had different ideas
Oh,
and slaughtered his entire army and killed Oswald, chopped his body into 4 parts and chopped his head off.
that's not very nice.
No. So the limbs were posted on spikes, apparently in the...
4 corners of the kingdom.
Well, some stories say that,
Okay.
but then it negates another story later on, so who knows?
But he's demonstrating his disrespect for...
Well, he could also have been doing it as a sacrifice to Woden.
Huh?
So it's dedicating the victory over the Christians to Woden by chopping up and displaying the body of the enemy.
It's pretty gory, this.
The Woden can be quite gory.
All right. Headless Oswald.
Headless Oswald. So the head gets back to Northumbria because Oswald's little brother Oswy,
Oswald's little brother Oswy.
they tended to try and keep these sorts of prefixes in the family.
They'll just call them anything,
They will.
these Anglo-Saxons.
But genuinely, a lot of Anglo-Saxon history where people go, oh, that's his brother, it's just because they have the first couple of same letters at the start of their name. And some historians will just go, must have been his brother then, because there's so little evidence.
It's
You
like
just have to take what you can get.
if I had some brothers called Danny and Daniel and
Danilicious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair.
Little Danilicious. So Oswy, he goes on a secret raid into Mercian territory to get back the head of his brother because it's such a powerful symbol, is Oswald's head.
You just want your brother's head to be in your own possession
Yeah,
rather than
on someone's tree.
Yeah. I mean, if someone beheaded your brother and then put it on a spike, what would you do?
I mean, I'd rather go and get my brother's head back.
Fair. But it's a dangerous mission.
It's a dangerous mission.
mean, like how...
Especially as he's now king.
Yeah.
And you don't want to lose 2 kings to the Mercians.
No, you don't.
Because Penda's already thinking about pressing the advantage.
It's actually a very sensible decision.
It's not. So, but it shows just how important Oswald's head was. So Oswy comes in and he's looking around the battlefield and he's saying, well, there's all these limbs, which one's my brother's? And then luckily a raven comes along and picks up one of the arms, which is perfectly preserved, and then flies over to an ash tree, which is where Oswald's head is.
And that's how he knows which one.
And that's how he knows which one it is.
Once again, Chris, I'm sus.
Well, what is interesting is that this is, I don't know if you remember, Odin, which bird he loves.
All birds that
No.
I hear about Odin.
Ravens.
Oh.
So an ash tree is very important to Odin as well, because he hung upside down in an ash tree. We don't need to go into Viking legend, but that's what he did. And so these are very important symbols to Odin and Woden.
Even though Oswald and Oswy, they're Christians, they're not pagan.
Exactly. So it does suggest that you still had a strong pagan influence even in Northumbria.
Oh, okay.
And that Oswy and probably Oswald were trying to keep them on side as well.
So even though they're evangelizing to the pagan Mercians, they are using the imagery, the iconography of the pagan religion.
Exactly. And we're still using it today because we're still using Oswald's head.
Yes, true. We're probably all using all sorts of pagan imagery.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Well, we have Thursday
Yes.
and Friday.
Which is Thursday.
Exactly.
And Freya's Day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Woden's Day.
Wednesday. Yeah.
So anyway, he gets the head, goes all the way back to Northumbria, gives it to the monastery at Lindisfarne to look after, and so then they stick it with Cuthbert.
As you would.
As you would. So now you got Cuthbert and Oswald.
Put all your human remains together.
Yeah. So you know where they are.
Yeah. Well, I would put them in a special freezer, if it were me.
You don't need to because they're saints. So they're magically preserved.
Just magically. Yeah. Oh, yes, I remember. Yeah.
If you remember, the monks left Lindisfarne.
They did. Yes, eventually they left.
So they spent 7 years parading around the north with Cuthbert's body in his coffin, his special coffin, which you can see in the cathedral, and also with Oswald's head.
And a bunch of other trinkets.
Oh, yeah, whatever they could get away with.
It's a lot of luggage, isn't it?
Yes.
Because when I go travelling, I like to travel light.
Well, this is the thing, you see. The whole image that they like to project, oh, we're just monks who are on the run. We're just carrying around this coffin because we love him so much. But they owned massive amounts of land. Because an easy way to get into heaven for a noble, give some land to the church. And if you donate it to a place like Lindisfarne and get the monks there to keep praying for your soul, you get out of purgatory quicker.
So when they're wandering the north, they're not like refugees as such. They're just having a little holiday in their own land.
Probably, yeah. Parading around, checking on all their tenants, picking up the money and showing the face.
I see.
So they go parading around, and after 7 years, they settle at Chester Street.
I have been there.
Yes.
But only on the train.
It's probably the best way to view it.
I don't think I've ever gotten off the train Chester Street.
We should probably scratch that. But yeah, because a lot of the time the story is the monks come in, they run away from the Vikings, and then they parade around for 150 years, and then they settle at Durham. And then they forget about Chester Street, which is a bit harsh on Chester Street.
That is a bit harsh.
They were there for quite a while.
So they settle in Chester Street for a bit first? Okay.
And by a bit, over a century.
Oh, I see. Oh, so they're not parading the whole time?
No.
Most of the time they're just chilling in Chester Street?
Yeah, it's about 7 years they're parading, that's it.
Oh, I see. That is not the story I've heard.
No, well, this is it. It's because you get the complicated story here at Bashing the Bishops. You don't just get the simple, easy one. We go into everything in incredible detail, it seems.
Yeah.
So they settle at Chester Street for another century or so. And then the Bishop of Lindisfarne, although he's now the Bishop of Chester Street.
Can you do that? Can you just transfer your diocese?
I think that the archbishops probably gave him a bit of dispensation as you keep being killed.
By Vikings?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, fair enough.
So they decided to move on again.
As you do?
As you do.
Do we know why?
Well, there were a lot more Viking raids again in the 980s.
Yeah.
But the Scottish were coming down and stealing all our cattle.
Oh.
So that was happening a lot.
Scottish aren't Anglo-Saxon?
No, they're Scottish. They're from Northern Ireland.
The Scottish are from Northern Ireland?
Yes.
The Anglo-Saxons are from England?
Well, they're from Saxony. Well
yeah.
And
but they're living in England.
Scandinavia. Yeah.
History.
Yes. So the Scottish came in and, depending on who you ask, either peacefully settled and became very good friends with the Picts who were there before, and then the Picts disappeared completely, probably of their own choice, or the Scottish came in and stole it off the Picts and killed them all. You know, it could be any number of combinations of the above.
You never hear about the Picts?
No.
It's because the Scottish killed them all.
Possibly. Or maybe they become very good friends with the Scottish, and they become so good friends, the Picts go, well, our name's silly, let's become Scottish.
Yeah. And there would be no way of knowing by DNA analysis, so we'll never know.
We'll never know. So let's go with the nice version. So the Scottish keep coming down and attacking as well, so it's probably the main reason they want to move on. But, of course, that's not what the monks said.
Okay.
The monks said that Cuthbert appeared in a vision.
To who?
To the bishop.
All right.
To Bishop Eldon. And he said, fed up of being here, get moving.
Hang on. Bishop Eldon.
Yep, Ealdhun for those playing along at home.
Ealdhun.
So they go off to Ripon.
I have been there.
Yes.
I don't remember anything about it.
No.
It's got a nice church.
Yes.
Yep.
Probably a different church. As I say, probably it is.
Okay.
So they were there for a few months, and then the bishop went, oh no, it's fine now. Cuthbert says it's fine. We can go back.
Right.
So they set off back for Chester Street, and then...
I think he just wanted a holiday in Ripon.
Probably. But, you know, he brought Cuthbert along as well.
And that is hard work, so...
Yes. You don't want to leave your blankie behind. So they're on the way to Chester Street, and catastrophe, the wheel falls off the cart.
The wheel falls off the cart?
So they're stuck. The cart with Cuthbert's coffin on. Absolute nightmare.
They can just get a new wheel.
Where are you going to get a new wheel from?
Well, there's trees all over the place.
Broken wheel. They're monks, they're not carpenters.
None of the monks are carpenters.
And their RAC membership had expired. So instead, he ordered a 3-day fast.
A 3-day fast?
3 days.
So they're not eating for 3 whole days. Can they drink water?
Yes.
Okay.
So they're fasting because Cuthbert's trying to tell them something, but he's a little bit shy and so won't come out until all the boys and girls haven't eaten any food for 3 days.
Yeah, that makes sense. Have you gone for 3 days without eating?
Not without severe stomach trouble.
I don't think I've ever gone that long without eating, but one time I had an infection. I think it was an E. coli infection. Everything that I ate just went straight through. It was chronic diarrhea. It lasted like 2 weeks. And I used to be able to do press-ups. Can't do press-ups anymore. I lost quite a lot of weight because I was eating. But
you should probably start eating again.
Yeah.
Maybe do some press-ups then.
Yeah, well, I could try. It's effort though.
Yeah, we'll see if Dan can get swole by the end of this podcast. So anyway, during this 3-day fast, a man called Eadmer says he got a vision.
Is he just one of the monks?
One of the monks who, you know, if you're cynical, maybe he's fed up with his fast and just says he's had a vision.
Eadmer's got hungry.
Yeah.
Or maybe he's hallucinating because he's hungry.
That's usually what happens when you fast for 3 days.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. He has a vision, and Cuthbert tells him in this vision, you've got to take me to Durham. And nobody knows where Durham is.
No one knows where Durham is?
No one's any idea what he's talking about.
You mean any of the monks?
Any of the monks.
Okay.
They come across, well, you do now.
Yeah.
Would have been quite useful back then.
Well.
But where were you?
They should have asked me.
Exactly. So they're walking around going, where's Durham? And then they run into a milkmaid.
A milkmaid.
And so they go, do you know where Durham is? And she goes, yes.
Oh, that's handy.
Yeah.
Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm a reincarnation of that milkmaid. Because I know where Durham is.
We'll have to dress you up as a milkmaid for the next promo. So she says, yeah, luckily I've been, I don't know why she's Cornish, maybe she's lost. She says, I've been farming my cow, just taking her back from the pasture. So yeah, that's where Durham is. And so she takes them there with her cows. Yes.
Okay.
And that's why you've got a pub in Durham called the Dun Cow, and you'll have, there's models of cows in the cathedral.
There's a statue of cow.
Yes.
Riverbank called the Dun Cow.
Exactly, all because of this magic cow that knew where Durham was.
And the milkmaid.
You don't get anything about the milkmaid.
I'm once again sus of this, because you're telling me that the monks have never heard of Durham. They're from, they own loads of land in the north of England. They've never heard of Durham. Am I to understand that Durham isn't, already a fort of some kind?
Basically, no, it doesn't exist.
But,
Is what they'll say.
That doesn't make any sense, because if you've seen Durham, dear listeners, it's, perfectly encased in the river. The river kind of comes round from the northeast. It flows southward around the east of the city, and then it turns around and it flows around the west. And the city is all contained within, they call it a peninsula. And there's a hill in the peninsula, and we put the castle on top of the hill. It's if you were an Anglo-Saxon, you would build a fort there. There's no way that there was not already something there. And in fact, I'm pretty sure that it's called Durham or Dunholm, and Dun or Holm, one of them already means fort.
Well, Dun is from the Dun Cow, obviously. Everyone knows that.
I think it also means something else. No, I think Holm
Dun means brown.
I think it also means fort.
Nope.
I think it does.
Ham.
Holm, I think, means island. I think it means peninsula.
No, it doesn't.
It means fort. Holm means fort. So, once again, I'm sus.
I think it is very harsh that you're casting these aspersions on holy men who can't defend themselves. They've been dead for 1,000 years, and they've told a lovely story about a wandering milkmaid with a cow that they named a city after. What is interesting is that around about this time that Ealdon the bishop, he married his daughter, Egfrida.
And he was the bishop of Chesterley Street.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he married his daughter, Egfrida, to Uhtred.
Egfrida?
Yeah, she's not going to come up again.
Okay. She is called Egfrida.
Egfrida. Yeah. Someone's got to be.
I don't think they do. Ealdon's married his daughter, Egfrida.
Yep, to Uhtred.
Who's Uhtred?
He's the son of Wulfioth, the Earl of Bamborough.
He's the son of an earl.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So Bamborough, right on the east coast.
I've not been to Bamborough either.
Oh, it's very nice. The beach over there is nice, and it's a nice castle above it.
Yeah, we should go.
Uhtred, he helps the monks just on his own. Obviously, I haven't got any men to help him. He helps them clear the area, get some farms sorted, settlers brought in.
Chop down all the trees.
And establish Durham properly.
Right, yeah.
There were probably a few farms already.
Mow, Palace Green.
Yeah. And then also, the Scots come and attack.
Again?
They do.
Oh, no.
Because what you do when you become King of Scots is you collect your mates together and you go and steal some cows.
Mm-hmm.
And that proves that you're a good king, because you can go and fight and win and get some cows.
That's kind of what new prime ministers do.
Well, yes, got to have an easy win at the start. Unfortunately, this time, they didn't win.
Oh, the Scots didn't win.
They didn't win,
okay,
no.
Good.
Uhtred had built up the walls of Durham and defeated the siege, because it was quite a large army.
But like I said, Durham's easily defensible because it's got the river that flows all the way around it.
And he probably also had some other battles. It's just, this is the easy story. But he'd collected up armies from around the area, because it was quite a large Scottish raiding party, this. So he defeated them and hung the severed heads of the attackers around the walls of Durham.
But you've got the severed Oswald's head.
Yes.
Safe and sound inside Durham.
Inside Durham.
And then you've got your severed...
Scottish heads.
Scottish heads.
They don't get names. Nobody knows what their names are.
All right.
Because they didn't ask before they killed them.
No, well, you wouldn't really, would you?
And then all the local women, well, some of them, washed the heads so they'd look their best when they're put up on the wall. And as a reward for that, they each get a cow.
For washing a head?
For washing a severed head. I'd wash a severed head for a cow, would you?
Well, I don't... Yeah, maybe.
Yeah?
I don't know. Well, so I was doing some washing up today. There was a fly that had died and it landed in the sink. And so the fly got on my hand just while I was scrubbing the inside of a pot and I didn't like it.
Okay.
I think the shivers.
I think there would probably be a few flies when you're trying to wash a large piece of rotting meat.
Yeah.
That used to be someone's head.
And you know how I feel about flies. So, I don't know. And I mean, what can you do with a cow?
Milk it?
Yeah, I do like milk. Well, I don't like milk. I like cheese.
Yes. Yeah, you can also get cheese from it.
Yeah.
But a few extra steps.
I think I might just go to a cheesemonger.
That's another option.
I think I'll...
But this is a free cow.
Yeah, but it's a severed head.
Fair enough.
It's not the severed head, to be honest. It's the flies. that bother me.
Ah, no, the classic youth. Just don't want to do a good old honest job of severed head washing.
I just still like flies. Just don't work for our cows these days.
No, exactly. You just expect cows to be handed out for killing a fly while washing up. So Ethelred the Unready, who's King of England at this point.
Wait, hang on. Why is he unready? Is it like when I'm trying to get ready, like I just take ages with my shoelaces and then I need to go to the toilet like what?
Well, yeah, basically when his dad died, he was on the bog and, they're banging on the door, going to be king. He's go, what now?
Oh, so it's not like me at all.
And also, no, that's nonsense. It's actually a hilarious Saxon pun.
Right.
So strap on. Unready, the red part, if you notice his name is Ethelred.
Ethelred.
Means, so red is advised or advice.
Oh, okay.
And Ethel is noble. So it means that he's well advised.
Right.
Is his name. Unready, unready, means he's badly advised. So it's a hilarious pun.
Nobly but badly advised.
Yes, because when he was born, his parents were really hopeful. And there was a grown-up, they went, nah, he's a moron.
Oh.
So it would have been hilarious if you're an Anglo-Saxon.
If I was an Anglo-Saxon, you calling me a moron? Because I'm unready.
Oh, yes. No, if you're an Anglo-Saxon, it would have been hilarious that he was Ethelred.
Oh, I see.
The unread. It's fantastic. It was headline writers of the day.
Yeah, they had a great time. They sold loads of Anglo-Saxon chronicles.
Oh, they'd have sat down and gone, right, lads, that's it, down the pub.
Uh-huh.
That's our job done for the day. We've ruined his reputation for 1,000 years.
I mean, they weren't even selling them, but they would have sold loads.
They would have done.
Mm.
So Ethelred the Unready, very happy. He said, all right, Uhtred, my son, you've done a fantastic job. You're Earl now.
Wait, so Uhtred was the son of the Earl?
Son of Earl of Banbury, yeah.
And now Ethelred's like, never mind about your dad.
Yeah, his dad's probably still alive.
Is his dad not a bit miffed?
Probably, but who cares? Uhtred's Earl now. He should have gone and killed all the Scottish.
Well, yeah, but maybe he's old.
Well, probably another reason to get rid of him. You don't want an old man fighting Scottish. So Uhtred is now Earl.
Okay.
Ethelred also gives him York.
Oh, as well?
Yeah, he's now Earl of Northumbria.
Oh, okay.
Essentially, he owns all of this area.
Yeah.
Under the king, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
He's very powerful.
Mm.
And he's got the Bishop of Durham to thank for that, because he's got the bones of St Cuthbert. So it adds to his legitimacy, because everyone loves Cuthbert. Mm-hmm. And he's now the man who's in charge of all the land where Cuthbert's in.
And Cuthbert's still famous, like...
Oh, yeah.
He's basically still a celebrity after all these years.
Kings come and do homage to him and give lots of gifts still. Very famous.
I don't think Cuthbert would have liked this, though.
No, he would have hated it all. So Uhtred, he's now the big man in the north. Very powerful. He's got Cuthbert, so he's got all the spiritual power behind him as well. Mm-hmm. And he has kids with Eldon's daughter, Egfrida.
Of course.
Yep, I'm just going to say her name a few times, Egfrida, because that's basically all she ever did was to create some children. And it seems a bit harsh. That's all anyone ever knows about her.
But her name was Egfrida.
So she had some kids, and those kids end up being the ancestor of all the kings of Scots, from Malcolm the Maiden onwards, the kings of England, earls, dukes, all of that.
Wait up. Malcolm the Maiden.
Yes.
Why is he called Malcolm?
Because he was a virgin and died a virgin.
Oh, so they're not poking fun of him for being like a woman. They're poking fun of him for being a virgin.
Well, not poking fun at him.
Oh, okay.
No, he was a religious man.
So does maiden not mean woman?
Not always.
Oh, okay.
So better than Malcolm the Virgin.
Well, we call her the Virgin Mary.
Yes. But yeah, so he died without any heirs. But no, he's only about 24.
Okay.
But no, he did a lot of religious fighting because he loved that. So Uhtred, he's the big man now, and he's got the backing of all the nobles and the bones of St Cuthbert and all that. So he doesn't need Eldon anymore, so he gets rid of Egfrida. Doesn't kill her, just low-key divorces her.
Eldon the bishop, he doesn't need him,
no.
So he gets rid of his wife, which was his daughter.
Yes, because he's got as much as he needs out of him now.
That's harsh.
Yes.
I mean, what's she going to do?
Be a nun.
Oh, okay.
Usually what happens.
So be a nun after you've been married?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Oh, most nuns.
Have previously been married?
Especially aristocratic ones.
I thought they had to be, like, unmarried.
No, that's how you'd get rid of your wife if you didn't want her anymore.
You just send her to an...
Make her a nun.
Spooky.
So he gets rid of her and gets a new wife.
And you can do that as well?
it's a bit more free and easy back in those days. Bishops could have children, could have wives. You could chuck your wife into a nunnery and crack on with someone else.
Fair.
Couldn't have two at once, but,
Serial monogamy you could do.
Yeah.
Huh.
So he gets rid of Egfrida and he marries the daughter of Steer, who's a top Yorkshire noble.
Going around marrying the daughters of important people.
Exactly. To consolidate his power.
Mm-hmm.
So because he's nice and safe now in Durham, York's his new power base that's just added. So he needs to get them on board. So he marries one of the top Yorkshiremen's daughters.
Tactic.
So he marries her, and Steer says, yeah, all right, but only if you kill Thurbrand, who's my massive enemy.
Okay.
And so Uhtred says, yep, absolutely, I'll do that.
So I'm only letting you marry my daughter if you kill
Thurbrand.
Steve down the road.
Yeah.
I'm pissed off with Thurbrand.
Yeah, but, they get married first.
Okay.
And Uhtred says, yeah, I'll get round to that.
It's on a promise.
Spoilers, he doesn't.
Oh,
Later on, you get another Viking invasion.
of course.
Sweyn Forkbeard
Sweyn Forkbeard.
comes in, and he's now King of England.
Oh,
Because Ethelred just was not ready.
Right. Yeah. Sweyn.
Sweyn Forkbeard.
All right.
So Uhtred, he saw which way the wind was blowing, and he went, all right, I like you, Sweyn. Yeah, I swear loyalty to you.
Mm.
Then Ethelred the Unready said, all right. So Sweyn Forkbeard, he's got Uhtred's loyalty.
Mm-hmm.
And then Ethelred says, you know what you'd like? Daughters. Do you want to marry mine?
To Sweyn.
To Uhtred.
Oh.
And Uhtred says, you're right. So he chucks his second wife and marries Ethelred's daughter, and then he sides with Ethelred.
So he has sided with Sweyn, but now he's siding with Ethelred instead. He's divorced 2 wives already.
Yep.
Sent them off to a nunnery.
Probably. We don't know what happens to them, but we're going to be nice and say nunnery.
I don't know if I like this guy.
He's not the most likable. Then, luckily, Sweyn Forkbeard dies.
Oh, okay.
So he's not king for very long.
So he comes in and invades, but he doesn't put an heir on the throne. He just dies and then...
Well, Canute tries to... So Sweyn Forkbeard's son, Canute, tries to become king, but Ethelred, he comes back from exile, and all the nobles go, all right, we'll give you another chance. And then Ethelred dies.
Twice king, but now dead.
Twice king, never loved. So Canute comes in
Never ready.
and says, all right, I'm going to be king then.
Oh, okay.
Now, Ethelred's son, Edmund Ironside, doesn't agree.
Well, you wouldn't.
No. And so they have a bit of old fighting.
A bit of fisticuffs. Okay.
And Uhtred goes, right, I think I'm going to pick Ironside because he's got the cooler name.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair.
So he sides with Edmund Ironside, but unfortunately it's the wrong one to choose.
Oh.
And Canute wins.
Okay.
Edmund Ironside, though, is renowned as a fantastic fighter, so Canute says, all right, mate, tell you what, you're a good lad, I like you. You can have Wessex, and I'll have the rest.
I'm from Wessex, though, actually.
I mean,
It's all right.
yeah, but, I mean, I'd prefer to have the West Midlands myself.
Oh, that's because that's where you're from.
Yes.
Wessex is in the south.
Yes.
It's warmer,
Yeah.
a little bit.
Get more rain in West Midlands, which is good for drinking. It's our main export. Canute is made this deal, and then Edmund Ironside dies.
Yeah.
And so Canute takes the entire kingdom anyway.
Yeah, fair enough.
Uhtred, bit of trouble now. He needs to go and submit to Canute, who's not going to be too happy with him. So he hurries off to go and submit to Canute.
But Canute had already made friends with Ironside, who was the one that Uhtred backed.
Well, yeah, but that doesn't mean he's going to make friends with everyone who backed Ironside, because he needs to give land to his followers.
Yeah, true. Okay.
So off Uhtred goes to go and arse-kiss old Canute.
Suck up.
Before he can get there, Thurbrand, do you remember him?
Yeah, he was supposed to be killing him.
Yeah, for his second wife they got rid of.
Yeah. Oh, but he got rid of her, so...
Yeah, well, Thurbrand didn't care and killed Uhtred.
Oh, well.
The two families then, so Uhtred's heirs and Thurbrand and his heirs, just started murdering each other for the next 60 years or so in a massive blood feud.
That's a nice tradition,
It's
isn't it?
the most famous blood feud in the north of this period.
Really?
There's books were written about it at the time.
I mean, this all started because he was supposed to be killing Thurbrand as payment for marrying someone's daughter.
Yes, Steer.
Sent her to a nunnery anyway. Didn't stay married to her.
Yeah. We don't know what Steer did. Maybe, Thurbrand did something awful to him.
Maybe he just didn't like the way he looked.
Could be. So while all this is going on, back in Durham, the Eldon, the bishop...
He's still around.
He's still around. His daughter ain't married anymore, but he built a stone church, which is called the White Church, which is for all our Durham, because it's built of white stone.
Oh, okay.
For all our Durham fans, it's probably where St Oswald's is now.
Oh,
That's going to be a very niche thing for listeners there. So St Cuthbert was translated there in 998. He was translated from the White Church into a cathedral they built roughly where the current one is.
And when you say translated, you mean moved?
Religiously moved.
Oh, I
It's
see.
the official word for moving these remains. And then we didn't really hear about anything from him. And then he dies 20 years later.
Just chilling.
According to Simeon of Durham, who was the main chronicler for this, he was because he had a broken heart because he heard the Scottish had won at a battle. And he went, oh, that's sad, and then died.
Yeah. Scottish winning things is enough to kill anyone.
Well, and it's so rare that it's not really a concern. So we've now got the first ever Bishop of Durham, because they're in Durham.
Wasn't...
I mean, the Eldon technically was, but he'd been so many different types of bishops. This is the first time Durham exists and you get a bishop elected.
Okay.
So he's called Edmund.
Edmund, but not Edmund Ironside.
No, different Edmund.
New Edmund.
Different Edmund.
Bishop Edmund.
Yes. So he wasn't, he was a bit of a joker. He wasn't really well respected.
How do you mean a bit of a joker, like how you're a joker?
No, he's a dipshit.
Oh, he's just not very good.
No. Basically, there'd been no bishop for 3 years.
After
Eldon died. They couldn't decide who to pick. And so 2 of the monks were hanging around near the tomb of Cuthbert, as you do.
Yeah.
Having a laugh. And one of them was going, I tell you, we should pick Edmund. And he's going, oh, shit, no, God. Can you imagine Edmund as bishop? And Edmund overheard this. And so he ended up being elected.
Why is this a little bit like the election of Jeremy Corbyn as leader of the Labour Party?
Oh, we got some satire. I mean, I don't know if we're going to lose new Labour listeners or Corbynista listeners from that comment, but we love both. We don't. We love one of you, but you'll have to guess which one. That's how Edmund pops up. He died, though.
He became bishop as a joke.
Yeah, pretty much, and was bishop for about 20 years.
Oh, that's a long-standing joke.
It's a very boring life being a monk. Got to try and take there's no TV. So he goes down to Gloucester, to the royal court, and dies down there 20 years later.
He doesn't even die in Durham.
No, dies in Gloucester.
First Bishop of Durham.
West Midlands.
Doesn't die in Durham.
That's where everyone wants to go, is West Midlands. So his successor was Edred, supposed to be. So Edred, according to Simeon of Durham, who hates the Anglo-Saxons because he's a Norman. And so when he writes his thing, he's making out that the Saxons are all incompetent bumpkins. So he tells us that Edred just stole a load of money from the cathedral and then bribed the king into making him bishop. This is known as simony, buying religious office. And so God was very angry and so murdered him.
How did he die?
Divine justice.
But we don't have a cause of death.
God.
Okay.
Before he could be enthroned, God said no.
So he never even became
bishop. Then you've got 2 brothers, Ethelric and Ethelwine.
Ethelric and Ethelwine.
And you can tell the brothers because they both start with Ethel.
Yeah, that's how that works.
That's how it works. You're becoming a Saxon historian now. So they're originally monks down in Peterborough.
Up in there.
And so Edmund brought them up because they're a lot stricter down in the south. And he's going, you monks down in the south, you're fantastic. We want some of your drive, your discipline up here in Durham. They're basically management consultants. They brought them up to consult on really revitalising the Durham brand. And so Ethelric took over as bishop.
What about his brother?
Ethelwine helped him.
Oh, that's nice.
Yes.
Would your brother help you if you were Bishop of Durham?
I'd bring him on board. I reckon, we could sort out a bishopric between us.
Okay, I'm glad that you have confidence in him.
Yeah. He's my brother and I'm proud of him. So I hope you're listening as well, Pete. Well, good job. Don't cut that. So Simeon, like I said, he does not like the Saxons. He thinks they're all stupid idiots.
But his is the only...
He's the only source of God. Yeah, pretty much.
He's like Herodotus.
Yes. Oh, deep cut.
Ooh.
All our ancient Greek history fans there. So he would have been drawing on sources that we don't have access to because he's writing 1,000 years ago.
Why don't we have access to them? They just burned?
They could have been decayed, burned. A lot of the time they'd scrape off old books and write new things on.
Oh, okay.
Because vellum was quite valuable.
So we've got Simeon and we just have to take his word for things, really, because he's the only way we know anything.
Yeah, but they're poison pen, basically, Simeon. He does not like. So all of this scandalous stuff, take with a mild pinch of salt.
All right.
So Ethelric, according to Simeon, was a greedy thief who stole treasure upon treasure and relics from the cathedral. Didn't touch Cuthbert. Yeah, that's all of them. So he stole all this stuff and he sent it down to Peterborough.
Oh, that's where he's from.
And then he
moved back to his mum.
Exactly. So he sent it back to his mates down in Peterborough, then went down himself to enjoy all the fancy stuff and resigned and left Ethelwine as bishop.
That's quite cheeky.
Yes. So basically there's running as a bit of a scam, looted the entire bishopric, and then Ethelwine was left behind to carry on. And then Simeon said, but he was even worse.
Oh, no.
He stole even more stuff.
He's got a raw end of a deal, I think.
Yeah, a little bit. Towards the end of Ethelwine's time as bishop, that's when the Normans come in. It's 1066 and all that. William the Conqueror.
Yeah.
You know he exists?
I know he exists.
Beautiful. That's all we need to know this week.
Okay, good.
Ethelwine, not a fan of the Normans.
No, we wouldn't be.
No.
They invaded, didn't they?
Yes.
Yeah.
So the new king, he decided he still needed the support of the Bishop of Durham. So he made Ethelwine ambassador to the Scottish king, favoured him, gave him money and so forth. And he convinced the King of Scots to swear fealty to William.
Ethelwine did?
Yeah, persuaded the King of Scots to swear loyalty.
Well, that's quite persuasive.
He's a very persuasive man, apparently. And then there were various murders of different people. We'll go into that next time. But eventually you've got Robert Comyns, who was the first Norman Earl of Northumbria, who William the Conqueror sent up to sort things out because things have been getting lax.
Cummings?
Cummins. But yes, there's a decent chance that this is where all the Cummings are from.
This is related to the famous Cummings
Yes.
from Durham.
Maybe.
Famous for going to Barnard Castle for an eye test.
They think.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's exciting
Yes.
for him.
That's a massive digression. So Robert Cummins comes up north and the bishop says, watch out, mate, there's going to be a massive rebellion.
Oh.
And Robert says, sod off, mate. Did I ask for your opinion? Just, you're a churchman. Go away.
That does sound like Cummings.
Yes. And so Cummins comes up, he camps out at the bishop's palace, eats all his food.
So you're telling me the bishop is planning a rebellion?
No, the bishop wasn't planning a rebellion.
Oh, he's just warning him.
He's warning Robert, saying, don't come up here, you'll get murdered.
Oh,
They're
because
planning to
all
kill
the
you.
locals are like,
Yeah, they don't like him.
they're grumpy.
Yeah, they don't like the Normans.
Oh.
They're planning to kill him. So Robert ignores him, and the bishop's not very happy about this. And then Robert camps out in his palace, eats all his food. So the bishop runs off and joins the rebels, and then they murder.
Are you sure he wasn't planning this?
Well, maybe he was trying to play both sides.
Maybe.
But yeah, so he runs off and joins the rebels, and they surround the palace and butcher everyone. So Ethelwyn, obviously he knows William the Conqueror's not going to be very happy with what's happened.
No.
So he runs away.
He would.
So he fled to Lindisfarne, back to the old country.
And has he brought all the relics with him?
Brought all the relics with him.
All the relics go back to Lindisfarne.
All the relics. Flees back to Lindisfarne with all the brothers.
What was the point in all that then?
And then they stayed there for about a year.
So he's got Cuthbert's body,
Yep.
Oswald's head, all back home in Lindisfarne.
All back.
They've run away from Durham.
They've run away.
Wow.
So William the Conqueror says, all right, well, you're outlawed.
Yeah, well, they're on an island. And
It means anyone can kill him, and there's no protection from the law. He's outside the law.
Yeah.
He's an outlaw.
Right, yeah.
And so Ethelwyn tried to flee to France.
That's quite a long way from Lindisfarne.
Yes. But the weather blew him back onto shore, which was God.
Of course.
So he fled down to Ely, down in Cambridgeshire.
That's also quite a long way, but not quite as far.
No. Have you heard of Hereward the Wake?
No.
No, no one has. But he used to be very famous. He was the last big rebellion against William the Conqueror. He was a big Saxon hero who fought a campaign against the Normans. But he lost, which is why no one's heard of him.
Okay.
And Ethelwyn joined that, and so he got captured.
They lost.
Exactly. And so the king took him to Abingdon, and that's where he was locked up. And according to Simeon of Durham, Ethelwyn was sat in his cell going, I haven't stolen anything at all, I swear. And then one day, he's washing his hands, and a gold bracelet falls down his arm. And so everyone goes, you're a liar and a thief. And so they threw him in a cell, because the king, who was well known not to have ever stolen anything in his entire life, William the Conqueror, was so scandalised at the idea of a thief, he threw him in a cell where he died.
In Abingdon.
In Abingdon.
It's near Oxford.
Yes. The end.
What are we doing next week then, Chris?
So next week, as there's a little teaser with William the Conqueror, so we're having a look at the conquest, we're having a look at William coming in, we're having a look at his son, we're having a look at the first couple of bishops of Durham, who are all called William.
All of them.
So it's just going to be wall-to-wall Willies next week.
We have been bashing the bishops. If you enjoyed it, please like, share and subscribe.
Niltoni Broadcast Network, NBN, popcorn for your ears.